Hi, I am Wendy with AP History Help, and this video is to help you get through your AP World History class this year. I host a podcast called AP History Help. I have a website called aphistoryhelp.com, and everything you need to know about AP World History, you can either find on the podcast, on the website, or from me. I will give you some information about how you can get all of what I'm about to go over in your email inbox and use it as a resource to yourself as the year goes on. But I am also a resource to you as well. Keep that in mind. Let's get started. All right, one thing I want to point out is I realize that I am blocking part of the screen at times. And so if I block out words, just follow my directions at the end in order to get the resource that I promised you. So don't you worry about a thing. We're here to talk about how you can be successful in your AP history course. I have got you covered. This is for students, but also parents. This is for you so that you can help your children to succeed in this very challenging course. And it's even for teachers who might be new to teaching AP World History or who are just looking for a little extra help. So stick around to get a clear roadmap and a free resource at the end. Let's start with just what is AP World History. So it is a college level course that covers global history from 1200 all the way up until almost now. And it covers civilizations and revolutions and ideologies and global change and more. It is probably one of the more challenging classes that you will take in high school, but it is also very rewarding as you are going to learn how to do some things that maybe you didn't even think you were capable of, like analyzing sources and writing essays and thinking more critically. Now, the good news is that not only will you be rewarded by all of the information that you're learning, but you could possibly get college credit as well. Now, it varies by college, but most colleges do award credit if you earn a 3 or higher on the exam. And you can go to the website that's on the screen there to find out if the college that you're interested in going to awards credit for a 3, a 4, and a 5. Passing is typically considered to be a 3. A 3 says, hey, this person is qualified. It's the equivalent of a B or a C plus or a C, whereas a 4 is more equivalent of a B, B plus, or A minus, and 5 says, wow, this person should get a job working as a historian. So let's look first at the course structure. There are 9 total units in AP World History, and each one more or less builds on the last. Now, within those 9 units are 4 time periods. As you can see, they're broken down here, 1200 to 1450, 1450 to 1750, 1750 to 1900, and then 1900 to the present. Now, that little letter C in front of the year means circa, which is Latin for around. That means approximately, give or take a few years. Now, also on this screen, you'll see exam weighting, which means that's how much that particular topic is weighted on the AP exam at the end of the year. So those middle units, 3 through 6, are weighted slightly more than the first 2 or the last 3. Now, beyond the content come the historical reasoning skills and the themes. So the historical reasoning skills, I've kind of broken into 2 categories here. The ones in yellow, you're going to hear a lot about causation, comparison, and changing continuity. Those are how we look at history. We look at what caused things and what was the effect of things. We compare between time periods and across places. And we look at how in history things have changed and how things have stayed the same, continuity. Now, I liked the whole C thing here. So continuing along the things that start with the letter C are contextualization, putting things in context of which they're happening. When you write essays in your AP history class, you need to put the topic of the essay into context. Relates to causation. We look at what causes something to happen. And then chronology probably also relates because it's really about time, right? The order in which things happened. You don't have to necessarily memorize exact dates, but you do need to know the order in which things happened. Now, moving on to themes. This graphic comes straight from the College Board, and it breaks down the big ideas, the big themes of world history and what unit they are focused on. So you could spend a moment with this chart. You'll get this chart in the handout that I will share with you at the end. And I put in bolder circles the more important themes. So culture and interactions, governance, economic systems, social, those kind of things, especially governance, really important. Every single unit talks about politics or government. And we can get a little bit more into that when we look at the next graphic. What do those themes mean? Now, these letters don't match up exactly, but these are the big pieces of AP World History, right? So political, what types of government do they have? Courts, laws, wars, treaties. Innovation and technology, what tools were invented or used. Economic, how were resources controlled and distributed, also relates to how governments manage their economies. Culture and religion, big theme of AP World History, especially in the early period. Environmental, this is not so much about sciency environment, but how people adapted to the environment and how the environment influences where people live. And then lastly is social. Like when we socialize, we're dealing with other people. So social is what do people do? What is the social hierarchy? And what is the ethnic diversity or gender roles? Now, these are things that you should be looking at every time you learn something new in your history course, whether you're reading it or listening to it or studying it, you should be thinking about these pieces of history. Get into the habit of taking notes and making notes in the margins about what theme applies to the particular content that you're learning about. Now, the exam in May is computer-based these days, and it is a really long test. It's over 3 hours. Yeah, like 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now, this is what is going to give you that college credit as long as you score a 3 or higher, and as long as your college accepts that score. But it's broken into two sections. You get a little break in the middle. The first section consists of 55 multiple choice questions for which you get 55 minutes, and that counts towards 40% of your overall grade. Part B of section 1 of the test is writing 3 short answer questions. They're not really that short. You're going to end up writing like 3 good paragraphs of information for each of the short answer questions. You get 40 minutes for those, and those are worth 20% of your overall grade. Now, in terms of what the short answer questions are like, Question 1 is going to cover the years 1200 to 2001, so pretty much anywhere in history. And it's going to be based off of a secondary source, a textbook reading, perhaps. Question 2, same time period, it's going to be based off of a primary source. And then for the third question, you get to pick whether you're going to answer question 3 or 4. You get no source here. It's just a series of 3 questions asking you either about something that happened between 1200 and 1750 or something that happened between 1750 and the 2000s. You don't get a source for this. The information has to come exclusively from your head. And then you get a little break. Then we move on to section 2, which is 2 big essays. And you get 100 minutes for this. Now, it is suggested that you spend about 60 minutes, maybe up to 75, on the first essay, which is the document-based question essay. For this question, you get 7 documents and a central question or theme that asks you to use the documents to evaluate something. This is worth 25% of your overall grade. This is something that you will learn to do as the year goes on. It is challenging, but the more you practice it and the more you read samples, the better you're going to get. And then the second essay is called the long essay question, even though it's usually shorter than the document-based question essay. And in this particular essay, you will spend 30 minutes on it, perhaps. And there are 3 questions that you get to pick from. Question number 1 of the long essay questions covers 1200 to 1750. The second question is something from 1450 to 1900, and then the third one is from 1750 to 2001. So you get to pick whichever one you feel you can be more confident about. And again, no documents this time. All the information has to come from your head. And that one is worth 15% of the overall grade. Now, as the year goes on, you'll start to have practice opportunities for all the different types of questions. So don't be feeling like you're not going to know anything other than what I just told you. You'll know a lot more by May. At least I hope so. All right, so how do you succeed in AP World History? Well, the short version of that is this is less about memorizing facts and more about making big picture connections. Thus, those themes connect across themes. It's important that you get and stay organized. I know for some of you that's very challenging, but the more organized you are, the better you're going to do. Manage your time effectively. Put those phones away, anything that's a distraction. Make sure you spend a little bit of time every day, or at least every day that you're doing homework, maybe take Saturday off, working on something related to your AP history course. And practice writing. As you're learning to do the different types of writing prompts, practice, practice, practice. And use timelines and graphic organizers to organize your ideas and to put things in chronology, in chronological order, which brings me to the timeline. So like, how does time work? So a timeline is basically like a number line. It goes in order. We don't really go into the BC era of history in this course. So we're not going to worry too much about that. But it's important, not so much that you know exact dates when things happen, but know approximately where they happen in relation to each other. Early 1700s, late 19th century. And speaking of the hundreds and the centuries, I put on the screen 1700s is the 18th century, the 1800s is the 19th century. That can be confusing. So just think all the way back to when we started at year 1. I was going to say 0. There's no year 0. When we started at year 1, we were 1 through 99 in the 1st century. So then when we get to year 100, boom, now we are in the 2nd century. So that's why that is the way it is. All right, so as we wrap up, as I mentioned at the beginning, my name is Wendy and I am with AP History Help. And if you would like the slides that I've just gone over to have as a resource as the year goes on, just head on over to my website at aphistoryhelp.com. A little pop-up will come up that will say, hey, sign up for the newsletter or get the free resource. Put your email address in there and you will get an email that will give you that free resource. Now, I also have, once you get that, there'll be a link to this slide, the YouTube channel. You can go and watch the YouTube videos on there, a link to the podcast. You can watch those. I am also at Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. All of them are at AP History Help. And if you can't find what you're looking for, just shoot me an email, wendy at aphistoryhelp.com. Let me know if you have any questions and if you have any requests for possible podcast topics in the future. Good luck with your AP History course and have a great school year.